I don't know what the silo is. However, neither do the people living in it. They don't know who built it. They don't know why they're in it. What they do know is, inside the silo, you're safe. Outside the silo, you die. Them's the rules. Episode 1 begins where it ends. The rest of the episode is a story of how we got there. The first scene is of Sheriff Holston removing his badge and writing a note. He tells Deputy Marnes that he's going to holding cell number 3. This alarms the deputy. The sheriff enters the cell and throws away the keys. He stares out of the window as the deputy begs him not to say the words. The sheriff says the magic words, "I want to go outside." Flashback. The sheriff and his wife Allison are granted reproductive approval. They're given 1 year to get pregnant. This is the couple's third attempt, and Alice is 38. So basically, they're at the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs and no man on base. Having approval is no secret. The news is broadcasted throughout the silo. Resident quack Gloria offers Allison any assistance she may need. Time to go see the doctor. He removes the birth control device, and now the couple is free to make a baby. Bernard, head of the IT department, stops by Allison's desk. He reprimands her for publishing a post to the public on how to retrieve deleted files. Bernard is worse than a Reddit moderator. 200 days later, Allison still ain't knocked up yet. Time is running out. Mary Johns is concerned about the Freedom Day celebration going off without a hitch. The silo exterior has not been cleaned in a while. Cleaning happens when someone asks to go outside and decides to clean the cameras so that those inside can see what's out there, which isn't much. Gloria grabs Allison for a chat. She asks Allison why everything is so secretive in the silo. Why did the rebels erase history? What was on the servers that they erased? Did they really erase the servers? Why were the books burned? Why is the man trying to keep me down? The sheriff dismisses Gloria as an old kook. It's Freedom Day and the mayor gives the State of the Silo speech. The silo is pretty big, around 10,000 people inside. I think there's at least 144 levels because I remember someone referring to level 144. Allison's assistance is requested in a different section of IT. It's ran by George. He shows her an old hard drive that he found, over 140 years old. Understand that this drive is from before the rebellion, and that possession of relics before the rebellion is a crime. George is entrusting this information to Allison because he saw her post about recovering deleted files, the same post she got in trouble for. He wants Allison to help him read the drive. At first, Allison wants him to get rid of it. They could send his ass outside just for having it. But then she assists him in the access part of the drive. Allison has second thoughts. She's the damn sheriff's wife. She can't be running around breaking laws like Jesse James. George is cool with it, he understands, but he asks her not to rat him out. Well, the seeds of doubt inside of Allison's mind won't let her rest. Can't sex, can't work. She goes to see Gloria. Gloria tells her that the silo doesn't want people like her to reproduce. They want obedient, dumb people. Sheep, lemmings, conformists, followers. Allison takes this to her hubby, the sheriff, but Mr. Everything by the Book isn't receptive. Allison goes back to George. She wants to see everything on the drive. She's gonna take the whole bottle of red pills. They watch a video of what the environment was like before the rebellion, and perhaps how it really is on the outside. It looked like a beautiful summer day in Mississippi, minus the humidity, the mosquitoes, and the races. But yes, the climate in Mississippi is beautiful. After her session with George, Allison ain't in no mood for baby making anymore. Oh well, time's up, Buttercup. Allison did not get pregnant within the year. No baby for you. The sheriff is at the doctor's office awaiting his wife. She doesn't show up. He goes to her job. She's not there. He goes home and there's Allison, looking worn out, torn up. She tells her husband she has proof of her suspicions that the silo didn't want her to reproduce. Actually, She cut it out of her side. She's bleeding out. The sheriff takes off to get the doctor to save her life. So the sheriff grabs the doctor and they're headed to the apartment when Deputy Marnes tells the sheriff that his wife is in the cafeteria. Allison is on the tabletop preaching her truth. She's telling the people that what's outside that window is a lie. The silo is a lie. The sheriff tries to talk her down, but she's tired of his shit. She says the magic words, "I want to go outside." Oh well, that's that. Outside you'll go. Well, the mayor can't think of any loopholes to get Allison out of this jam. She's gonna have to go outside. The sheriff rounds up Gloria and George for questioning. The sheriff visits his wife in the clink. Allison tells him that they're changing the screens that they see from the inside, that what lies outside of the silo is beautiful. The computers want to keep them inside. Why? She doesn't know, but she's gonna find out. She tells him that when she gets outside, if it's nice, she'll clean, and then she'll proceed over the hills. They prepare Allison. The sheriff reads her rights, which is basically, you're on your own once you go out there. She walks out. I'm not sure why they put people in a suit if everyone who goes out dies. Seems like a waste of a suit to me. The people watch from the inside. It's like a Floyd Mayweather pay-per-view fight or something. Allison goes outside. She cleans the camera a little, and the crowd goes wild. Off she goes. She's walking and walking. Uh-oh. She falls to her knees, struggles, collapses, dies. First round knockout. 2 years later, the deputy gives the sheriff a report of George biting the dust. Literally. He fell over a rail and fell to the ground. Accident? Suicide? Don't know. But there's an engineer and mechanical that thinks it was murder. The sheriff and the deputy check out the body. George's body, not the engineer's body. They go and meet the engineer who thinks that George was murdered. Her name is Juliet. She's responsible for keeping the silo's generator running. We skip back to the sheriff in the holding cell. He tells the deputy that Juliet is the one who opened his mind. He's got to know the truth of what's really outside the silo. Well, it's the sheriff's turn to go outside. He tells the mayor and the deputy sorry for all the fuss. He makes the same walk that his wife did. The group and mechanical have assembled to watch the sheriff's walk. This includes Juliet, who the sheriff credits for opening his eyes. The sheriff walks out and proclaims that his wife was right. Beautiful sky, green grass, not what the screens inside the silo display. He goes to the exterior cameras and does the cleaning, and the crowd goes wild. The sheriff heads for the hills. I think he's gonna make it. He collapses. I take that back. He takes off his helmet. He then crawls over to his wife and dies. Inside, Juliet is looking at him like he forgot to flush the toilet or something. She calls him a liar and runs out the room. The deputy reads the letter left behind by the sheriff. The sheriff did not pick a successor. The mayor has no precedence for this. A sheriff has never done anything this crazy before. What the hell was he thinking going outside? There's a scene of people fighting for sledgehammers for some reason, and then Cummins comes by with his goons and the people start acting right. And I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what that scene was about. At this point, the story jumps to tell how Juliet and the sheriff help one another. Juliet tells her friend Marcia about the happenings around George's death. See, Juliet and George were an item. They had a non-sanctioned relationship. Apparently in the silo, you need permission to have a partnership, relationship, love thing. Anyway, one day George approached Juliet with news that he was excited to show her something that he had found. When she showed up that night, George wasn't there, but there was a bag containing 2 items. One was a Pez dispenser, and the other was a note. The next morning at breakfast, Juliet's understudy, Cooper, gave her the news that George had committed suicide. Well, that don't seem right. Juliet went to Officer Hank adamant that George wouldn't have killed himself. She convinced him to get the sheriff to look into it. The sheriff arrives and gets what few details Juliet knew. He spots Juliet wearing a relic, an old watch, a watch that George once owned. The sheriff asks Juliet to join him to look at the body, see if she sees anything unusual. Juliet is no help. The sheriff asks Juliet why her and George didn't get their relationship sanctioned. Juliet plays dumb. As the sheriff's questions are going more towards accusatory, he pivots as he senses that Juliet is shutting down. She tells him that George left her something, but she won't show him if he's going to rat her out to judicial. He tells her whatever it is, he'll say that he found it so she won't get in trouble. What she showed him was the Pez dispenser and the note. The note said, "Remember where you last saw this." Juliet takes the sheriff through the tunnels and to the lowest level of the silo, a level so deep that it houses the machine that dug the hole that built the silo. She shows him that George had built a damn man cave down there. If I was the sheriff, I would have called dibs on that. The last time Juliet had seen the Pez dispenser was in a box down there, so this is where George wanted to lead her. She shows the sheriff George's box of relics. One was a video camcorder. George was looking for something down there. They find a wire which led them to a bag. Inside this bag was the same hard drive that George and Allison had cracked in episode 1. Also in the bag were the articles that Allison had wrote. The sheriff recognizes his wife's handwriting. He tells Juliet that his wife knew George. Also, he knew that she knew George because she's wearing the same watch that George owned when he interrogated him. He's going to confiscate all the stuff that George left down there. He tells Juliet to hold her horses while he investigates. When he finds something, he'll send her a signal. But he never got back to her, never sent her a sign. That's why Juliet called him a liar. And she didn't show the sheriff everything. The bottom half of the letter she kept to herself. It read, "I found what I was looking for." Deputy Marnes comes clean. Actually, the sheriff did leave a letter of who he thought his successor should be. He thought it should be Juliet. Neither the mayor or the deputy can figure out why. In addition, the sheriff also left all of his belongings to Juliet. The mayor says, "Well, we're going to have to go see her." Juliet recalls her conversations with George. What George was looking for was a door at the bottom of the silo. However, it's underwater. That's why George had all of that rope around his crib. Juliet is going to pick up where George left off. She goes down the rope. A little flashlight falls off into the water, and now she's stranded. End of episode. Juliet navigates her way back up the rope to safety. Well, I guess Juliet was like, well, fuck it. So now she puts the watch back on that she wasn't supposed to be wearing, and she gets sloppy drunk. The next morning, she wakes up with a hangover. Then there's an emergency at the generator, because there's always an emergency at the generator. She gets to the generator and her understudy Cooper's trying to fix it, and she pulls him out of the way and punches him. Her boss, Knox, brings her in for a little scolding. He tells her that she stinks, she needs to go home and sleep it off. The hangover, not the funk. On her way back, Juliet stops off to see Marcia. She tells her about a failed attempt to go underwater, that she got afraid of the water, and then she does a bunch of other complaining. She finishes that off with insulting Marcia for not leaving her room in 20 years. Are we supposed to like Juliet or not like Juliet? The mayor and the deputy prepare to go to level 144. They pause at the doors of the judicial that everyone seems to fear. She then goes to meet with the head of IT, Bernard. The mayor tells him that the sheriff recommended Juliet be his successor. Bernard thinks this would be a big mistake because Juliet is a thief. he got some old beef with her. He warns her that every day without a sheriff is dangerous, and that the people have began to arm themselves. Then the mayor makes her way to the mids. I guess this is where the middle class live. She follows that up to go see the babies. The doctor who oversees the babies happens to be Juliet's father. They want to know how someone like Juliet, who was born in the mids, ended up working in mechanical. Her father tells them that she liked fixing things and that no one was going to stop her from doing what she wanted. The deputy and mayor take a break. The deputy tells her about the first arrest that he ever made. Then they begin to talk about what they are going to do when they retire. They are interrupted by Cummins. He works with Judicial. He leans on the mayor to appoint the successor that Judicial wants. The deputy and the mayor arrive at level 144 just as shit is falling apart. The floor is shaking and the gauges are all in red. The head of mechanical, Knox, tells them that everything is under control. Juliet is on the job. After Juliet has saved the day, she goes to see the mayor. The mayor tells Juliet that Sheriff Holston chose her to be the next sheriff. The mayor tells her that no one wants her to get the job except for her. The mayor offers her the job. Juliet says she doesn't want it. She says that her current job is more important than being sheriff. That damn generator ain't gonna fix itself, you know. The mayor says, okay, think about it, and then gives her the belongings that Sheriff Holston left behind. One of those being his badge. While shooting the shit with the crew, Officer Hank asks her to see the badge. He notices that there's something carved on the back. He shows it to Juliet. It moves her. Juliet catches up with the mayor and says that she's changed her mind. She'll take the job on one condition. The condition is that she wants to fix the generator once and for all. But to do so, they will have to shut down the generator and run on backup power. This is asking a lot because the generator has never been shut down in silo history. But the mayor gives her the green light. The silo will be in complete darkness for 8 hours. Juliet discusses with her team of how they are going to fix the generator. There's a lot of scientific stuff and mechanical stuff. Something about them having 30 minutes to do something. I'd be lying if I said that I understood all the details. But eventually, the blackout begins. Back to the upper part of the silo, the deputy and mayor have made it home. She comes out of her room and says that she couldn't sleep. Well, I've seen enough TV shows to know that means that she probably wants to bone. The mayor tells the deputy that she's hopeful about Juliet. She tells the deputy that the best part of her day was spending time with him. He reciprocates. They kiss. I was not wrong about the boning. Okay, it's time to fix the generator. I don't have much to say because one, it's a lot of small details into what they did, and two, I don't completely understand what they did to fix the generator anyway. Put it this way, there were a bunch of people pacing the floor with their arms folded, and there was a lot of dramatic music being played. There were ropes and gauges and drills and people saying, look out, watch out. There were people climbing, people running. It was a mess. At some point, shit started overheating. They only have a few minutes. Knox is telling Juliet that she needs to get out. Juliet leaves Cooper to put the blade in. She scales down the generator and goes into the entry point. She's gonna try to buy them more time. She grabs a water hose and begins to spray the thing that's overheating. It begins to work. It begins to work until it stops working. The heat is too much. Juliet's still trying, and now she's standing in a puddle of water. Strike that. She's underwater. Things start to smoke and explode. The generator's going down, which means the silo is going down. But Cooper finally gets the blade in, and they rescue Juliet. But it's not over yet. We gotta see if the generator's gonna work. Well, you know they didn't do all that shit just for the generator not to work. It works and Juliet's a hero. Everybody celebrates. The lights come on in the silo. On her way to be the new sheriff, Juliet stops to see Marcia. She apologizes for being an asshole and leaves Marsha with the camcorder that she found. Tells her to see if she can get it to work. Marsha tells her that she'll give it a try, and when she becomes sheriff, try not to get killed like George. On the way to her new job, Juliet looks on the back of the badge that Sheriff Holston left with her. Etched on the back was the word truth. The mayor's not feeling well. The deputy asks her if she's okay. She says she's good, just grab a bottle of wine, put on some Marvin Gaye, she's gonna go to the bathroom for a minute. While she's in there, the deputy hears a crash. He runs over and breaks down the door. Inside, the mayor is laying on the floor with blood coming out of her mouth. End of episode. My expectations for this show were pretty high. Not because I knew anything about it, just because Apple promoted it pretty well. I thought the first 2 episodes were really good. I would give both of them a grade of 8. But the 3rd episode was missing something for me. I guess it was the whole action sequence thing. I sort of knew that they were going to be successful, or else the show would have been over. I'm not feeling Juliet as the main character just yet. I wish we could have got more of the original sheriff and his wife. All that said, the world building is great. The mystery aspect is good, so I'm still in.